No, round the ticket. No, right.
It's first light at Farina Station in Lake Eyre Basin on the edge of the Birdsville track.
Yeah, you can follow me, Ryan. Oh.
Kevin Dawes and his wife Anne have lived and worked here for 25 years. It's a tough environment to live in, isn't it?
It can be, yes, yeah, but I do think that we have it a lot easier than what people used to have in the past.
Their closest town is Farina. It lies in the centre of their station. Their homestead is on the town's doorstep. No one lives in Farina permanently anymore. Its last resident departed in 1975. In its heyday, how many?
Around 600, but it had a floating population. There used to be a lot of drovers and cameleers, and also there's gangers too, worked on the railway.
So now the population, permanent population, is you and your wife?
That's right, and plus the tourists, you know, when the tourists are coming through.
Yeah. In its prime, the town of Farina was a major inland railway hub.
Farina in the early days, there used to be the main trucking yard for cattle, sheep, and cattle used to come down the Birdsville track, the Unadata track and the Strzelecki. They used to all hang around Farina before they trucked out by rail, and that's what made it so dusty and dry back in those days.
When the railway line was moved, the town began to crumble. Lack of rain had already taken its toll.
Farina means in Latin flower, and they thought they'd go grow wheat out here, like crops, but as soon as you get your first hot summer, you know, the crops won't survive, you know, and you've got to admire the first settlers come out here, like trying to run this place, and a lot of heartbreak in that, and a lot of them didn't survive it. Yeah, no, it's looking good. All the pointing here has filled all the gaps in, and just doing that part now, so.
8 years ago, a group of retired caravanners came up with a plan to help restore the town. Kevin Dawes jumped at the idea.
I just think historic parts of Australia is very important about the early settlers and all that, and we should never lose that.
Now, it's grey power that's brought life back into a crumbling town.
The average age of people here is probably about, I'd say we'd be going 67, 68.
I think it gives you a focus on a life rather than sitting at home watching TV every day, reading newspapers, doom and gloom.
The volunteer workforce has grown from a handful of helpers to more than 100.
We have a big bunch of people. We're for 8 weeks of the year. These grey nomads mainly, and volunteers come in and we do all this work. And
it's this underground bakery that funds the restoration efforts.
I like baking, and I love coming up here and supporting the cause. Put that on the thing, so good man. There we go.
This oven lay dormant for almost a century until it was recently restored and put back to work.
All the money raised from the bakery goes to the project, and it takes quite a lot of money each year to purchase the supplies we need to stabilise the walls, the lime mortar and the cement and things like that.
This batch will be actual vegetable quiche.
Retired baker Dennis Rockley is a repeat volunteer. Prep work for the oven is done in a van next door.
I don't bake normally during the year. Last time I baked was when I came out here last year.
And out in the middle of nowhere, a queue begins to form.
Oh my God, look how good this is. It's steaming hot. Look, straight out of the oven. Fantastic. We've been crossing the Simpson Desert from the Gold Coast. Been crossing it for 6 days. Been on the road for about a week and a half. It feels like a lifetime since we've seen a bakery.
15 minutes for those?
Yeah.
The sale of bread and pies is paying for 2 stonemasons to help restore the Fettlers' cottage.
Yeah, we're not reconstructing, we're not re-roofing them. We're just trying to hold what's here for future generations to come and look at. Yeah, people say, oh, stonework's so expensive, but it's just like this, it's just painstaking.
Peter Russell is full of praise for the past craftsmen of Farina.
Well, the walls are nice and plumb, and the brickwork's plumb. You can always tell a house or a building put together by someone who wasn't a mason because the stones are all over the place. But these are nice flat walls.
Gangers, it's survived a bit, hasn't it? Yeah. Right, my great-grandparents were the first Europeans to come and settle here to build the very first house, and they were assigned to come and dig the wells to enable both the feeding of the stock, which was coming down from Birdsfield, and also to provide water for the new train line that was being put through. Yeah, you see some of the original framework still up in the...
Rob Ball has come back to pass on to the restoration group what he knows about the town's original layout. As a teenager, he visited his grandmother here.
We're on the actual rail track itself, the rail road. And it was the Fettlers' job to make sure that these were kept in pristine condition.
This year's restoration season is almost complete, and plans are now being made for next year.
We'd like to continue to bring life back to Farina, and we'd like to build a museum next year, which will be a bakery and museum area.